clearly articulating the reasons for the stop. The law, as it states, the Terry versus Ohio 1968, so stop and frisk is not anything that's new. But a police officer has to have reasonable suspicion. In other words, you believe that a person has either committed or is about to commit a crime. It's got to be something more than just stopping a person for the sake of stopping them. You have to be able to articulate that. You've got to be able to put it on paper. You can frisk only if, for weapons only, and only if you feel as if the person's armed and is a threat to you. So not every person you stop necessarily gets frisked. So we have to do a better job of keeping records. We're automating our system. We're going to have regular audits, quarterly audits. The divisional inspector will do an audit, and then the Internal Affairs Division will audit that audit, and then there's a monitor that's been appointed by the court, a Professor Epps from Temple University, that will come in and do an annual audit as well to make sure that we're in compliance. I think it's a good thing. I think that, one, police officers ought to act in a professional way and certainly within the framework of the Constitution. There's absolutely no question about that. There's always this back and forth over whether or not we're doing it right or we're not doing it right. I actually welcome the outside scrutiny because it takes that away from us doing it and then someone saying, well, yeah, sure, you're going to say that everything is okay. You're not going to be critical of your own department, even if you could be critical or even if you are critical. Having a third party look at what you're doing can hurt. And I think it should be above board, and I think it should be something that's done. So I really think it's a good idea. Have absolutely no problems with it. The other part of the executive order that the mayor signed, he actually signed two. The second one dealt with the way in which we handle citizen complaints. We're making it a lot easier for people to be able to file a complaint against a police officer if they suspect them of engaging in any form of misconduct, whether it be criminal or non-criminal, to make it easier for people to be able to file an actual formal complaint. In the area, the biggest change is in the area of complaints of verbal abuse. The bulk of complaints against police officers that we get are for verbal abuse. And when it's investigated by Internal Affairs, what usually winds up happening is, I have an encounter with you. We're the only two there. You said I swore at you, I say I didn't swear at you. There's not enough evidence to prove or disprove the allegation. That's called being not sustained. That's the language that we use, not sustained. Now, in many instances, it in fact happened, but we just can't prove it. Well, what I want to do is change the behavior and make sure that officers treat everybody with respect. So when these complaints come in, and I'm not talking about a chronic person who's always getting complaints, or there's some allegation of physical abuse, or something more than just the verbal abuse, then the inspector from that division is going to have to whistle that officer down and have a one-on-one with him after talking to the person who's making the allegation, to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to change the behavior of individuals in our department. My expectation is that their encounters be professional and be respectful. Even if you're locking a person up, there's no need to be disrespectful to them. Just do your job and do it professionally and move on. There's no need for the name calling and all the other stuff. The vast, vast majority of our police officers conduct themselves in a professional manner all the time, but there is a small percentage that don't. And I want to make sure that I can change that behavior and do everything I possibly can to make that happen. What the mayor's order did was change the original executive order, which actually would have prohibited that process that I just laid out for you. This allows us to be able to do that in those cases. Second, third complaint, we go through the old, we do it the other way with a more formal internal affairs investigation. But I believe we can nip some of this stuff in the bud.